For many years, Sonic the Hedgehog games have been hit or miss, with more misses than hits, and even the hits not always being home runs. So while everybody waited around all year to see if Sonic Forces could finally break the Sonic curse, Sonic Mania snuck along from out of nowhere and stole the show by being, in this supple young boy's honest opinion, the greatest Sonic game ever made. But now that Sonic Forces is finally out, does it actually compare to Sonic Mania? Well, the fact that Sega didn't send early copies out for review is never a good sign. And you've probably already read all the bad reviews by now. But now that a top talent such as Thus has a hold of the game, I'll uncover the truth about Sonic Forces for the whole world. Not only about how good a game it is, but I'll go and ask her further and see how it stacks up against Sonic Mania as well. Before I compare Sonic Forces to Mania, first I'm going to tell you how the game stands on its own.
It was pretty good. It was alright. It wasn't great. But it was fine. And I knew that it was going to be fine.
And since Sonic Mania was above fine, the winner of this versus video is obviously Sonic Mania. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. It's more about why Sonic Mania is so much better despite it being cheaper with a much smaller development team. And the very first thing I have to get off my ass is the contrast between the two stories. After the first level of Sonic Forces, Eggman takes the world over, kidnaps Sonic, and tortures him for months. Seriously, they actually torture him, they say it multiple times. And after my crack team of hackers spent some time with this game, they discovered a disturbing cutscene in the game's data.
Oh, come on, fudge midnight, come on!
Warning, the footage you just watched was very graphic. Viewer discretion was advised.
I know Sonic stories have always been overly complicated before, but why does it have to be so dark? I wish the story were more like Sonic Mania's. Yeah, it was a little simplified, but the story was the cleanest and best pleasure.
The cleanest, best pleasure is
Sonic Mania's story. I don't think Sonic Forces is a bad story. I like that it's trying something new with the series. But if you're gonna have all Sonic's characters involved in an all-out war, then why not kill one or two of them off like this asshole? I'm just kidding, Espio's a good dude, I don't want him or anybody else to actually die. I'm not that big of a dick. But as far as Sonic Mania being cheaper goes, Sonic Forces is only $40, which caught me off guard when I got it, but after I finished the game in what felt like 2.5 hours, I immediately understood why. Although it's a bit odd considering Sonic Mania definitely took longer to beat at half the price. I don't even remember how long it took me to beat that game since I've replayed it so many times now. But that brings me to my first problem with Sonic Forces. It's honestly just not that fun. I don't care that getting to the end credits didn't take very long, cause you can always go back and collect the red rings, play bonus stages, and respond to SOS calls for some reason. It's just that I didn't feel the need or desire to keep playing like I did with Sonic Mania. Obviously that's because Sonic Mania is more fun to play, and to me the main reason that is because of the controls. The parts in Sonic Forces that are the most fun involve you running fast while pressing L and R to move left or right for dodging attacks or obstacles. But when the speed stops, so does the fun, because the game was built around moving fast. Platforming in the slower sections just sucks because of how sensitive the controls are. In Mania and the Genesis games while we're at it, you don't really go all that fast, even though it feels like you do. Come to think of it, the same can be said for the Sonic Adventure series. But now that blast processing's evolved as much as it has, the speed nowadays is even faster than my dad. The jumping in slower sections of Sonic games is far more precise than 16 bits, or whatever Sonic Mania is. In Forces you miss your jumps and fall to your death more often than not, due to the sensitive controls. And if you're gonna have sensitive controls, then why not just make the entire game about speed without as many sections where you slow down? I know a lot of bosses in both games have you in a closed area where you're not running, but this is another area where Sonic Forces should just stick to speed. And not to mention that sometimes in Sonic Forces, beating a boss feels very anticlimactic. Just look at this right here. We're going twice as fast as your ass, and watch what happens after delivering the final blow. Every boss you fight while you're running is a lot of fun, but the sensitive jumps of the standstill bosses make things more difficult than they need to be. Not that Sonic Forces is difficult at all, though. Neither is Sonic Mania, but I wouldn't call it overly easy. In Sonic Forces, I got an S rank on more than half the levels on my first playthrough, and I take my time, get hit sometimes, and usually don't collect the red rings. The game encourages you to play on hard, but normal's the only other option. I guess the game just wanted you to feel super badass and cool instead of just calling it easy and normal. Sonic Mania isn't too hard either, but you have to at least think in that game, whereas Sonic Forces, for the most part, just has you holding forward and jumping occasionally. And when you do jump, it sucks. I don't even need Sonic to be difficult though, I just want to run fast and have a good time. Much like the Desert Ruins 2 stage from Sonic Lost World. If levels in 3D Sonic games are mostly that, then I think everybody would be happy. Sure, these stages aren't difficult, but there's nothing wrong with mindless fun, and you can make these a tad bit harder anyway by throwing more shit at Sonic. There are a lot of parts in the game that are based on just running fast, but like most 3D Sonic games, there's just way too many things that kill your momentum, like enemies or platforms that you don't have time to react to. Genesis Sonics have been guilty of this as well, but thanks to Christian Whitehead's monkey ass, you don't have to worry about that in Sonic Mania. But back to Sonic Forces and other 3D Sonic games while we're at it, why can't they just let us see further ahead? This is why I didn't mind Lost World slowing things down a little bit, since it made the platforming more fun, especially in 2D sections. But I realize I'm in the minority as far as liking Lost World goes. This game's based more off Generations than anything else. And I love Generations mainly because of the nostalgia. Much like Generations, Sonic Forces also tries to be nostalgic with classic Sonic coming back thanks to an overly complicated plot point. But how's Sonic Forces gonna try to be nostalgic 2 months after Sonic Mania came out? Why even go that route? Sonic Forces is supposed to be the game where you focus on the new, and if you have to be nostalgic, then stop remaking the Chemical Plant Zone. I mean, that's the part of Sonic 2 that everybody hated and stopped playing at. It's memorable for the wrong reasons, and in this game it's just as unfun as ever, especially when you have less time underwater than ever before. I don't even mind Green Hill Zone being resurrected so many times, cause Mario technically goes to the Mushroom Kingdom all the time, so, I mean, whatever. A few nostalgic things here and there are fine, but we don't need classic Sonic. You just gave us that. And modern Sonic stages have 2D sections anyway, so why not just leave the character the same and go back to making better game design? You don't see modern Sonic making an appearance in Sonic Mania, do you? Other than 2 Sonics, you can play as an avatar in Forces, which is actually a pretty good idea and could bring a little fun to Mania. Or at least give us the option to dress Sonic and the gang up in different clothes, but honestly, I don't even really want it that bad. I'm just trying to cut Sonic Forces some slack here by highlighting something it has over Mania. The gameplay doesn't change enough to make the game better aside from slightly different abilities and stages. Although it is pretty cool when you and Sonic join forces. Get it? Forces? No, seriously, I think that's why they called the game Sonic Forces.
Oh, that's why they call it that.
In certain sections, your Avatar and Sonic somehow combine their speed, causing lovably cringy music to start playing that the 3D series is known for, making this yet another example where the best sections of the game are when you go really fast. But back to the cringy music. This game's loaded with it, but if you're a Sonic fan, it'd be weird to not have it at this point, so why welcome it with open arms? There's also Genesis-sounding music in the classic Sonic levels that aren't just remixed versions of old themes. Thankfully, they're completely original. However, music's another area where Sonic Mania just does a better job, but that's completely subjective, so I won't harp on it anymore. Although I will play Sonic Mania music from here on out, since this song's been stuck in my head while editing and it just puts me in a good mood. The last thing I feel the need to talk about are the graphics. And honestly, even on the Nintendo Switch, I think both games look great and achieve the different looks they were going for. It goes without saying that Sonic Mania didn't drop frames, but neither did Sonic Forces no matter how fast I was going. And as far as the game only running at 30 frames per second on the Switch, who gives a shit? 60 would be nice, but it wouldn't improve the gameplay at all, so I can't really hold that against Sega and Nintendo for only giving us 30 on the Switch. As long as the visuals meet the everything's fine threshold that graphics and gaming reached after the PS3 and 360, then I'm a happy guy. But what doesn't make me a happy guy is Sonic Forces. Like I said, it's alright, but it's not awesome, and awesome isn't what Sonic deserves. I just don't have time to play games that are only decent. I still haven't finished Mario Odyssey or even Metroid 2. Plus Doom just came out with Xenoblade coming out any week now. This is the one reason why I don't really mind Sonic Forces only taking a few hours to beat. I mean, it costs $40 instead of the typical $60, and just like all the other Sonic games in recent times, we know it's gonna drop to $20 within the first year anyway. And Sonic Forces felt like Sega kept that in mind. That they just dropped the price anyway, so why not make the game short but sweet? But the problem was that it was only moderately sweet when it should have been too sweet. I don't think people should have an issue with most levels only taking a few minutes to complete, but I could understand the disappointment if there only being 30 stages with some bonuses and free Shadow DLC. If Sega's gonna keep designing stages around not seeing what's coming on the first playthrough but being more fun the second time around, then stages being a few minutes long is an ideal length. But the thing is, they're not worth playing through a second time. It felt like a chore finishing the game once, which really isn't saying much seeing as how the game's only a few hours long. Playing Sonic Forces seriously made me want to play Sonic Mania, and I actually did that as soon as I was done. I wouldn't say Forces left a bad taste in my mouth, but have you ever saved the last bite of a meal for something on your plate that you like the most? Well, that's exactly what happened here. Sonic Forces are the peas, and Sonic Mania was the horse. Sonic Mania just has way more going on with it other than not having a physical release yet. It feels like a game that was made with passion, heart, and soul by people who love the series, whereas most of Sonic Forces felt like it was made by people going to work who aren't miserable, but they do have a deadline. I wouldn't be upset if Sega just let Christian Whitehead make Sonic games from now on, since an entire team dedicated to Sonic isn't as effective or reliable. I'm not saying I want 3D Sonic to go away, but it needs a serious reboot and a lot more quality control, or just improve the controls and focus more on speed than slower platforming. And assuming Whitehead continues making Sonic games, stop giving us new classic Sonic and let us have classic Sonic elsewhere. What do you think though? Was Sonic Forces a disappointment to you? Should Sega even keep making 3D Sonic games? And if they do, what changes do you think need to be made, if any at all? Let me know in the comments below on this or any other video on the channel, and I'll pin whatever's most entertaining. Don't forget to like and share this video if you want to help this channel build some street cred, and subscribe if from time to time you've been known to roll around at the speed of sound. My name's Cameron, and I'll see you next time.
So I want to say thank you to your loyalty, thank you for your support.